You are watching the Weekend Sports Kickoff right here on KNWT, Channel 8. And welcome into the Weekend Sports Kickoff. I am Devin Albertson, and I am joined by Ryan Elliott, Trevor Mader, and Jacob Blair as we're time to talk about Bearcat Athletics. And we're going to start the show off talking about Mel Tjeerdsma as he announced his retirement from the athletic director at Northwest Missouri State effective April 30th. And we're going to talk about his legacy here at Northwest. I'm going to go to you first, Ryan. Your brother went to Northwest prior to you, so you kind of know a deep history of what Mel has meant to the program a little bit. And I'm going to go, what do you, Mel Tjeerdsma, 22 years here at this organization between football and athletic director.
Yeah, that's longer than I've been alive. When I was first introduced to Bearcat Athletics, Mel Tjeerdsma was the head coach of the football program here at Northwest, and he had already built one of the most dominant football programs in all of college athletics. And just to put into words what Mel Tjeerdsma means to Northwest Missouri State University is almost impossible. This is a guy that he is easily the most important figure in all of Northwest athletics history, and one of the most important figures in the history of this university as a whole. Between he and Bob Bo Richter, who was the athletic director when he was the head coach here, I don't think you can find anybody that has been at this university that has been more influential to the athletic programs, at least, than Mel Tjeerdsma has.
Oh, yeah, I definitely agree there. If you look at his football record between 1994 and 2010, won 183 games, 12 MIAA championships, 3 national championships. He was just elected in the College Football Hall of Fame. He's been the athletic director here for the last 5 years, and during that time, you've had 4 national championships, Bearcat Stadium new video board, the Hare Athletic Success Center, the Hughes Fieldhouse is going to be opening this fall. So he's done a lot at Northwest and pouring his heart and soul into this organization for 22 years. It's just incredible.
And I will say that even though he was a football coach here, his influence on this university has reached far beyond the football program. You know, his football program in the late 90s and beyond kind of really kickstarted this current, culture of success and culture of winning and dominance in Bearcat athletics. And I think when he was hired as the athletic director, that then spread around to the rest of the programs. We've seen basketball win a national championship. We've seen the Steppers win a national championship. We've seen, just about every team in this athletic program be competitive over his years here as the athletic director. We're seeing new starts in women's basketball. We've got the MIAA Freshman of the Year. We've got a brand new soccer coach who has a chance to take this soccer program up into really being really competitive in the MIAA. And so I think that his influence has gone way beyond football here at Northwest.
Yeah, it has, and I think you could make a valid point that his success and his presence did a great job of expanding the university forward. And you look at when Mel Tjeerdsma came to Northwest in 1994, the university had kind of gone through a rough stretch there. I know that the previous governor, John Ashcroft, had originally planned to shut down the university, and that had fell through, and the athletic programs weren't where they are now, and they went 0-11 in Tjeerdsma's first year. Mm-hmm. And then that was the only losing season they had. Yeah. So the influence he's had on this university, like you said, it goes way beyond athletics. And not just probably the university, but look at the community of Maryville.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's kids probably our age that, growing up probably just assumed that Mel Tjeerdsma invented football. Football was invented in Maryville in 1994.
It's true.
That's probably the way they thought.
It's true. Yeah, so definitely there. And you guys talk about this, the whole university. You see this with football programs that are successful. People want to go to a school. Most of the time they recognize it. If Northwest is winning year in and year out, well, it gets name recognition out there, and people are like, well, that's a decent. Let's at least look into it. And then you get higher enrollment, which means more money for the university, so they can make improvements to the academics. Everything's kind of fed off of that as well. And just the football program every year being a national title contender, even with him leaving the university in good standing when he left, I think was huge. And he's just been a huge thing for this university. I know we pretty much go through this every year. It's like, Mel Tjeerdsma, he's just a living legend here at Northwest.
Absolutely.
you just can't say enough. And like we have a graphic on KNWT that our producer Joe made, and just not enough room to put all of his accomplishments on there. We just highlighted the big stuff that's happened recently.
We got the basics on there. That's about it.
He's just been very vital to this university.
Yeah, and I've only really been here at Northwest for 5 or 6 months, and even before that, being completely honest, I had no idea this place even existed 3 years ago. I found it during my college search, but from the moment I got on campus, one of the first names you heard was Tjeerdsma's name. That's one of the first names you heard.
And then you see it, and you're like, how do you get Tjeerdsma?
Yeah. How in the world does that come out of it's okay.
But that is, yeah.
It's Dutch.
And he's one of the first guys you hear, the first, he's kind of that face that when you talk about the big names at Northwest in terms of who's running the university, that's the guy you hear. And everything I've heard since I've got here echoes everything you guys have been saying.
And you know what? This history of success, the accolades that Mel Tjeerdsma has received could not have happened to a better person.
Oh, yeah.
Mel Tjeerdsma is a fantastic human being. He will shake your hand every time he sees you. He does everything he can to remember your name. He'll address you. He'll say hi to you. He'll stop and talk to you. And that goes for not just people he knows, but everybody in the community, everybody at the university, everybody in all of Maryville. This is a guy that will make you feel like you've known him for 10, 15 years, even if you're just meeting him. He's so welcoming. He's so open to talk to people. And in all reality, he's, in my opinion, not only is one of the greatest coaches in Division II history, he's one of the greatest coaches in college football history.
Oh, yeah.
As far as, resume goes and accomplishments, but his influence has gone far beyond that. Just the accomplishments of the athletic programs and the accomplishments of the football program. When I came here after my senior year of high school, I expected to be a part of the athletic programs. I expected to be a part of that football team that Mel Tjeerdsma had brought up from the ground up in 1994, but I didn't get a chance to do that. But I have had a fantastic time in the 3 years I've spent here covering the football program, covering the athletic programs, getting to interact with the people in these programs, and I think that is in large part thanks to Mel Tjeerdsma.
And one thing I want to mention here is there's always a couple of things that I grew up 20 minutes from Maryville in Little Grand, Missouri, so I've been around Northwest. I've known this team ever since the Fall Classic started with Pitt State years and years ago, so seeing all the things that they've went through, and they call him the Jedi Master for a reason. There's certain things that happened during Northwest history, you're like, how's that possible? You look back, against Central Missouri a few years ago, they get a kickoff with 1 second on the clock to beat them at the regulation, at the buzzer. I mean, stuff like that happens. I even saw one clip where KNWT got an audio bite of him on the sideline arguing a call with an official, and I've never seen this before, but he actually got the call on the field changed to what he wanted. And I've never seen that call before, but it's Mel Tjeerdsma. So, and they always say, give him Mel, and from the sideline whenever he get mad at the refs, and he just had a way with him there. He definitely had the respect of the other teams, his players, the officials, and he was definitely in control. And you just saw it so many times with Northwest going to 5 straight national championships towards the end of his career. And even the last year when they lost up in Duluth in the semifinals, I've talked to him about it. He's like, it was cold. Like, that was the game up in Duluth where he tried to get the NCAA to move that game earlier in the day so they could avoid the snowstorm. The NCAA was bullheaded about it, and they played in the middle of Hoth pretty much, and it was just freezing, and they ended up losing that game. But he's just been so instrumental to this university, and it's just nice to see someone like him get the recognition he deserves, and I'm sure he'll get that next few weeks as he's leaving 2 days after I graduate. So it's kind of nice to be like, at the same time that I'm leaving Northwest, so is he. So it's kind of a cool thing for me to be a part of.
Yeah, it's been really cool, and I'm kind of the same boat as you. I grew up, 45 minutes from Maryville, so I always follow the Northwest Missouri State programs, and I knew the name Mel Tjeerdsma. I mean, I knew that from the time I was 12, 13 years old that, he's the football coach at Northwest Missouri State, and the success and the dominance that they had, not just in football, but you've seen that transition over, like Ryan talked to, on the basketball court, and it's been really, really cool. And, when he stepped down, Adam Dorrell ended up eventually taking over, and he had big shoes to fill, and he did just fine with it. And whoever takes his next athletic director job, they're going to have big shoes to fill as well.
Yeah, definitely. So, anybody else have anything else on Mel Tjeerdsma and everything that he's?
I want to talk a little bit about the way that what the coaches at this university have had in Mel Tjeerdsma to look toward. He's sitting there as the athletic director, and all of these coaches have him right over their shoulder. They have, when they have issues, when they have questions, they have, this, especially this football coaching staff, when things start to, if something starts to go wrong, or if they have an issue, they have somebody right next door that they can go to that's won 3 national championships as a football coach, that's won 193 games as a football coach, that has, been so influential to a university. And I think that's a great resource for the coaching staff to have, both from a football and from the other sports standpoint. And I think he's a big reason why his replacements have done so well as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's definitely a guy that's, as you said earlier, easily approachable, and he's easy to give his knowledge and his wisdom to people around him. So that's one thing. So we really appreciate everything that Mel Tjeerdsma has done for this university. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Bearcat basketball. This guy named Justin Pitts won another award. I don't know if you've heard of him. We'll be back to talk about that and more next here on the Weekend Sports Kickoff. And welcome back into the Weekend Sports Kickoff. I am Devin Albertson, joined by Ryan, Jacob, and Trevor. It's time to talk about Bearcat basketball. Justin Pitts was named Player of the Year for the 3rd consecutive year. And his freshman year, he didn't win it, but he was Freshman of the Year and first team All-MIAA. So he just couldn't quite get the sweep there. But Justin Pitts,
let's just talk about the fact that he got totally snubbed in that first year.
I know that kid from Kearney got it. He was pretty good that year.
No.
And
I refuse.
You refuse it?
I'm just kidding.
But Justin Pitts this year in his down year, only averaging 19 points a game, 52% field goal percentage.
In
down year.
In Division II basketball, honestly, I don't think you should give the freshmen a Player of the Year award unless they do something insane. Anyway.
What did he average his freshman year?
19.7.
For a freshman, that's pretty good.
He was first team all-conference, so that's good enough for me. He was freshman of the year, so
yeah.
And the kid who won it, he averaged a double-double. I think,
you know what?
For Kearney.
Fact of the matter is, this kid's the best player in the history of the MIAA, bar none.
I think definitely when you say as far as an all-around player, yeah,
he's right. I think right now he's either 3rd or 4th in the MIAA in all-time points scored when he's catching 2nd and 3rd. He won't be able to reach 1st place because of the injuries happened this year, and is a far chance to catch it in the 1st place, but he could catch 2nd place still if they make a deep tournament run. So he's going to be one of the all-time leading scorers.
Where's he at in assists? Is he anywhere near the...
See, they don't have a top 10 assist. They have top assist, and that's it. Oh. That's all they have in the MIAA website. That's all I can find.
That's a bummer.
So, but he does have 561 career assists, so that's pretty impressive to go along with 2,400 points.
You know my favorite part about Justin Pitts is this guy's. What do they list him as? 5'9", 5'10"?
5'10". 5'10". That's a lie.
So he's listed as 5'10". And he might be 5'10", he might not be.
He might be 5'8" in a good day.
But you watch him sometimes crash the lane, and he plays like he's 6'5". It always cracks me up. I remember I did a game last year where him and Chrissy Boo and Dow both went in the lane at the same time, and Dow's 6'7", I believe. Yeah. You want to guess who came up with the rebound? It was 5'10" Justin Pitts.
I was going to say Brett Doherty, but yeah.
I mean, and Doherty's 6'7". 6'7". Yeah, and Justin Pitts, the smallest guy on the court by 5 inches or so, comes up with the rebound.
One of the things about Justin Pitts is when we were discussing who's going to win this year, you really want Justin Pitts. He might not get it this year, and then you remember that he had 19.1 points per game and 5 assists per game, and is pretty much the leader, on the court guy that runs an offense. And the crazy thing is, it was a down year, and you just felt like Justin Pitts was not the old Justin Pitts that we saw last year, and he still wins Player of the Year, which is just insane.
And I think the only guy who was even remotely close to challenging what was Trey Landsman from Nebraska Kearney. He averaged 21.5 points a game this year, as well as 9.6 rebounds. He was first in points, second in rebounds, only behind Skeens. I think what held him back is they were number 6 in the conference, and it's kind of hard to give the Player of the Year award to the guy in the sixth best team. And Justin Pitts, I think it was kind of this argument back and forth. Do you give it to a guy who had the best year, or do you give it to a guy who's the best player in the league on the best team? I think they went with the right decision with Pitts.
I think you're seeing that argument too. Like you're seeing an argument in the Big 12 right now with Trey Young and Devontae Graham. Is that you're seeing, people consider Trey Young, well, yeah, he had the best season, but how are you going to give the Player of the Year to a team that didn't challenge for a conference title?
Went 7-10 in conference play.
Yeah, I think that's the same situation here in the MIAA. You can't give it to Landsman because Kearney didn't contend for a conference title.
Did Ben Simmons win Player of the Year in the SEC? He didn't, did he?
I don't think so.
I can't remember.
Because they were bad that year, and it's the same argument. To me, it's got to be a good balance. If Kearney was the 2 seed or the 3 seed, I think you could really make that argument. But instead with Oklahoma, if Oklahoma had a winning record, was in the top 25, and maybe finished 2nd or 3rd in the Big 12, yeah, you can make the argument that Trey Young is why they were there. But in this situation, we'll get to that later. But in this situation,
I started a conversation that has nothing to do with
you have to go. It was not Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons did not win it. It was Tyler Ulis from Kentucky. But I think you have to go with the best player on the best team in that situation, and that was clearly Justin Pitts.
Yeah, so I was really happy that he got it. Other guys who got awards, Chris Ibu-Endow was second team all-conference. I thought he had a chance for first team, but seeing who got first team, it was Carr from Southern, Pitts, you had Skeens from Washburn, Reeves from Central Missouri, and Landsman from Kearney.
That's a solid first team All-American.
I'm like,
first team All-MIAA.
I can't take any of this out and put Endow in. It's like I don't have any corners with it. So Endow getting second team, I think he was the next in line maybe, but he was right there with.
Would you like to have that team?
Oh man!
Yes, dropping buckets for days.
That would be well. Look at this. The MIAA is, I think, as good as we've seen it. In the last since we've been here at the very least.
Because you look at even the teams that are kind of the middle of the pack or the bottom, they still have players that are capable of keeping them in games and taking over games.
I mean, you look at the third team for this. I know you have Xavier Adams from Pitt State, Brett Doherty, Jacob Lawrence, the big man from Central Missouri, Terrence Smith from Lincoln, and then Joey Witters from Northwest. That's another solid squad for your third team.
And I watched. I did the Lincoln Northwest game earlier this year. Terrence Smith, he's pretty darn good. He's got the ability to take over games.
And my thing with Doherty, he also got all defensive team, which I thought was great to have him recognized for being a little bit of undersized in the post for against some of these guys and still holding his own. He went head to head with Brady Skeens in Washburn with Pitts, very limited, and he beat him in the 1-to-1 head-to-head matchup. I mean, Brett Doherty had a really good year. I thought he was a borderline second team guy. And I think if Joey Witters would have played like he said the last 3 weeks or so, he might have been a first team all conference guy because he's been playing really well the last 3 weeks with Pitts being a little bit hobbled. So really talented guys here on the Northwest roster.
Yeah, Doherty's a guy that I would say has been the most improved this year when you look at what he's able to do. And he did that right out of the gate, man. I mean, he came out playing really well and kind of found that level of consistency. And he's a player that there's nothing he does that's super sexy. I mean, it doesn't stick out to you.
That post move's pretty sexy. I don't know.
But, I mean, when you look at his defense, I mean, that's maybe one of the most valuable parts about him is his ability to defensively lock on a guy like he did Brady Skeens. And he had a great year. Like I said, I think you can make an argument he'd be second team.
And one other guy that I thought might be an honorable mention or even make his way into the defensive team that didn't end up on either of them was Xavier Kurth.
Yep.
And I think Devin and I were talking about that earlier this week about how it would be insane to see all 5 of the Northwest starters mentioned in something, and maybe that's why he didn't get anything is because the MIAA was like, do we really want all 5 starters at
the unsung
Northwest
hero of the defense almost, yeah.
But even Xavier Kurth, a guy that could have been on any of these lists, and that's the 5th guy at Northwest right now.
It's going to the MIAA tournament. Of course, the first game of the second round was completed today. Washburn took down Nebraska Kearney 75-65. Right now, it's Fort Hays versus Missouri Southern. It's 8-6 Southern, leading that one with 17 minutes to go in the first half.
Southern getting the 2-point conversion.
There we go. Good job, Lions. They haven't scored a touchdown in a while. And of course, the later game, 6 o'clock tonight, Northwest versus Pitt State, and then Central Oklahoma versus Central Missouri at 8:15. That should be a fun game there in that 4-5 matchup. Both those teams trying to get into the regional. I know Washburn really helped their cause with that win today versus Nebraska Kearney. What do you guys think about this MIAA tournament? I think Northwest got a really good draw.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, they better not sleep tonight. this evening in the basketball game.
So they'll sleep.
Dang it! I tried to make a point. I screwed it up. Anyway,
they'll sleep tonight. I'm sure.
But they better, they better be ready to play tonight because Pittsburgh State is a dangerous basketball team. There's a lot of talent on that team. They've got a great coach in Kim Anderson, and that's got to be a scary 8 seed to see come up in the MIAA tournament. But they're a dangerous basketball team, and Coach McCollum talked earlier in the week about how that's just a testament to how deep the MIAA is you see Northwestern in this 1 versus 8 game all the time, and just about every game it's difficult for them. It's a tough team, and Pittsburgh State's no different. They're going to be dangerous. They're going to be ready to play. They're going to be wanting to take down the number 1 seed, so Northwest better be ready to play tonight.
I remember last year they played Lincoln, who was a 9 seed, and they came away with a 4-point victory in that one. It was really tough. And then the next game they played the 4 seed Southern, and it was a 4-point victory there too. So Northwest really struggled last year a bit with some of these lower seeds. So they've had that in the past. They've won the last 2 MIAA tournaments. But as you said they're usually the 1 seed as they have winning the conference. And then they've had a little bit of trouble. I mean, a couple years ago they beat Lindenwood by 5 in the second round game. They rolled through Hayes before they got Nebraska Kearney. So they've had a little bit of trouble in this first game of this tournament in the past with letting other teams stick around for quite a long time. And I think if Northwest, if they get a win tonight, I think they're all but locked to get the number 1 seed in the regional and host here next week. I think they might maybe get it with a loss, but you are almost guaranteed with a win to lock it up.
When I think you look at this Northwest team, and I think it just shows you that this conference is good enough that if you don't play well, anybody can beat anybody in this conference, and that shows in these 1 versus 8, 1 versus 9 games. It showed on the women's side twice now with Missouri Western. The 12 seed has won 2 games and are in the semifinals. And it's exactly the same way on the men's side. It can happen to anybody. So Northwest is going to have to come ready to go. I have a feeling they will. If I know Coach McCollum as well as I think I do, I have a feeling they're going to come in and they're going to be ready to play ball, and which should be a fun game.
Also, Central Region rankings. I know producer Joe has a graphic for that. Northwest at number 1, Northern State, Southern Nazarene, Missouri Southern, Southwest Minnesota State, St. Cloud, Mankato at the 7 seed, and Northwestern Oklahoma at the 8. And I believe it's Central Oklahoma at 9, and then Washburn at 10. So they're both fighting for their tournament lives.
We looked a week ago and saw 8, 9, 10 were all MIAA teams. So we thought, okay, we could get 3 into the MIAA could get 3 into this regional tournament, and then we saw Central continue to tank.
Oof.
Central Oklahoma struggled, and now all of a sudden Northwestern Oklahoma gets a chance. And I don't know if they're going to let go of it because we're into conference tournament time, and I think at times the conference tournament games don't get as much credit as regular season games as far as rankings go. So.
And one thing to do mention with this is Northern State did win the Northern Sun Conference, so that automatic bid is taken. They're going to get that. I believe the top 6 teams are pretty much locked in. Mankato and Northwestern Oklahoma are on the brink because if someone other than Northwest or Missouri Southern win the MIAA and someone other than Nazarene and Northwestern Oklahoma win the GAC, the GAC, they could both get bumped through the automatic bids, and they're on the bubble right now. Those 2 teams have to be sweating bullets because Mankato was bumped in the semifinals, I believe, in their tournament. So I think Mankato is pretty much in, but they're just worried about those 2 automatic bursts could knock them out. So,
and if you look at the odds are that one of the 2 from the MIAA has it pretty locked, and one of the 2 from the GAC has it pretty well locked.
Exactly. So that's what they're looking at right now. And, of course, Northwestern Oklahoma and Southern Nazarene won their first-round games. They'll be playing actually, I think they've played a little bit today. I'm going to look at the schedule here real quick. They played last night, and they'll play again tomorrow. Southern Nazarene and Northwestern Oklahoma both won their first-round games in that one. So that's what we have going forward. And, of course, Northwest plays tonight. Missouri Southern's up by 2 right now on Fort Hays. So that's a little bit of an update as we're going on here. But we're going to take a break. And last week we talked a little bit about this trade, but then the compensation came out later on. We'll revisit the Marcus Peters trade up next here on the Weekend Sports Kickoff.